What if the future was written thousands of years ago, hidden in plain sight? For centuries, humanity turned to sacred texts for meaning, for comfort, for guidance, for faith. But what if they also contained something more? A hidden code, a secret map of events that hadn't happened yet. Wars, plagues, assassinations, disasters, encoded not in prophecies shouted from mountains, but embedded silently between the letters. In the late 20th century, researchers stumbled onto something strange. Patterns hidden deep within the Hebrew text of the Bible. Names, dates, events, seemingly random at first glance, but revealed through careful mathematical analysis. What they found was terrifying. History itself may have been encrypted long before it happened. Some called it coincidence, others called it divine. But one thing became clear: the Bible may be more than a record of the past. It may be a blueprint for everything yet to come. How can hidden messages exist in a text we've read for centuries? At first glance, the Bible seems straightforward. Stories, laws, histories. But beneath the surface, some researchers believe there's another layer, a coded one. The method is called equidistant letter sequencing, ELS. Here's how it works. Take the original Hebrew text, unbroken, without spaces or punctuation. Choose a starting letter. Skip a set number of letters, say, every 50th, record the letters you land on. Sometimes the sequence spells nothing, but sometimes it forms words, phrases, sentences shockingly relevant to major historical events. Imagine opening a book written 3,000 years ago and finding your own name, your own city, a date that hasn't yet arrived. Is it random? Or is it a fingerprint left by something or someone beyond time? The Bible code suggests that the text of the Torah was not merely written, but engineered. Every letter placed with surgical precision so that future events could be encrypted without altering the visible message. A book that can tell two stories at once, one on the surface for everyone and one hidden waiting for those who know how to look. Who first realized that the Bible might be more than just a book? The idea that the Bible contained hidden codes isn't new. Ancient rabbis, mystics, and scholars hinted at secret layers of meaning, speaking of the 70 faces of the Torah, mystical dimensions beyond the literal words. But it wasn't until the modern era that someone tried to prove it mathematically. In the 1950s, Rabbi Michael Dov Weissmantel noticed something strange. When certain patterns were searched for systematically, key names and events seemed to cluster together in the Hebrew text. But without computers, it was almost impossible to verify. Decades later, in the 1980s, three Israeli researchers, Eliyahu Rips, Doron Witztum, and Yov Rosenberg, picked up the trail. They weren't mystics, they were mathematicians, and they had something previous generations lacked: computers. They wrote custom software designed to search the massive Hebrew text for equidistant letter sequences. Not randomly, not by guessing, but with cold, hard mathematics. Their first breakthrough: finding hidden references to famous rabbinical figures, names, birth dates, death dates, all encoded near the verses relating to their lives. The odds of it happening by chance? Millions to one. The researchers published their findings in a peer-reviewed statistical journal in 1994. And suddenly, the idea of a Bible code wasn't just mystical speculation anymore. It was a scientific mystery. If a 3,000-year-old text can encode the future, then everything we believe about history, chance, and time itself might be wrong. What happens when ancient texts meet modern machines? Before computers, finding hidden codes in a massive text was almost impossible. A lifetime wouldn't be enough. But with algorithms, secrets that had been buried for millennia could be unearthed in seconds. Once the first patterns were discovered, the researchers pushed further. They didn't just search for religious figures. They started searching for historical events, world wars, political assassinations, scientific breakthroughs, disasters. What they found shook them. Within the Hebrew text of Genesis, they found encoded Hitler paired with Nazi and slaughter. World War clustered around names of key battles. Atomic Holocaust near references to Japan. And it didn't stop there. Terrorist attacks, airplane crashes, global pandemics, events that would happen thousands of years after the Torah was first written, hidden inside its ancient letters. Statisticians checked the findings. Some dismissed them as random chance, but others admitted the clustering was too tight. The matches were too precise. It defied conventional probability. How could a text frozen in time for 3,000 years anticipate moments that hadn't even been imagined? The Bible wasn't just a religious document anymore. It had become something else, a map, a codebook, a time capsule written by hands or forces we still don't fully understand. Can an ancient text really predict assassinations, wars, and disasters centuries in advance? Skeptics said it was coincidence. Critics called it statistical noise. But the matches kept coming. One of the most famous? The assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. Long before it happened, researchers found encoded Yitzhak Rabin, assassin, Amir, the name of the killer, clustered together in the Hebrew text. Rabin was warned. He shrugged it off. A year later, he was dead. Another chilling find? September 11, 2001. Within the Torah, researchers uncovered Twin Towers airplane terror attack in the month of Tishrei, the Hebrew month corresponding to September. Clustered, linked, impossible to explain away. Other codes revealed World War II tied to Hitler, Germany, and dates of key battles. AIDS epidemic connected to words for virus and blood. Atomic bomb found alongside Hiroshima and destruction. Individually, maybe coincidence. Together, a pattern that defies logic. Either the Bible contains statistical miracles or it is something far stranger than we have ever dared to imagine. Is the Bible code real, or are we just seeing patterns we want to see? Not everyone was convinced. As the Bible code gained fame, scientists, statisticians, and skeptics stepped in to challenge it. And they raised important questions. First, there's apophenia, the human tendency to find patterns in random data. We see faces in clouds, figures in static, messages where none were intended. Could the Bible code be the ultimate example? Then there's data mining. When you search billions of letter combinations, some coincidences are inevitable. Given enough text, you can find almost anything, especially if you're looking for it. In 1999, mathematician Brendan McKay and others conducted an experiment. They applied the same equidistant letter sequence method to the novel Moby Dick. They found predictions of the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the death of Princess Diana, other major events, all hidden within a 19th century fiction novel. Coincidence? Or proof that given enough text, patterns will appear anywhere? Critics argued the Bible code methodology was too flexible. Letter skips could be adjusted until patterns appeared. Hits were celebrated, misses were ignored. The process, they said, wasn't truly scientific. But here's the paradox. Even skeptics admitted some clusters in the Bible were far tighter and far more meaningful than those found elsewhere. Something was different. Maybe it's all coincidence. Maybe it's human imagination reaching for meaning. Or maybe some books are different. Is the Bible code unique? Or are hidden messages scattered across all ancient knowledge? Once the idea of codes hidden in sacred texts gained traction, researchers began asking a bigger question. Is the Bible the only book like this? Or have other civilizations also encrypted secrets into their writings? Some investigators turned their eyes to the Talmud, the vast compendium of Jewish law and commentary, the Dead Sea Scrolls, ancient texts that include mysterious, coded messages, even the Quran, where scholars explored numerological patterns in verses and surahs. In Islamic tradition, for instance, the concept of numeric miracles, mathematical structures embedded in the Quran structure, has long been a subject of fascination. The number 19 appearing with strange regularity, letter counts matching themes and messages, coincidence or deliberate encryption. In the East, ancient Sanskrit texts sometimes describe hidden layers of meaning, accessible only through special recitation patterns, vibrations of sound, not just literal words, hidden messages not seen but felt. Even in Central America, the Mayan codices contain strange repetitions and alignments, leading some fringe researchers to propose that their calendar itself encoded cyclical predictions of global events. Are these examples true Bible code-style encryptions? Or just humans reading too much into ancient poetry and myth? It depends who you ask. But one truth seems universal. Across cultures and centuries, humanity believed that knowledge wasn't always meant to be obvious, that sometimes the greatest truths must be hidden. If the Bible code is real, who could have hidden it there? If the codes are genuine, if future events were encrypted thousands of years ago, then a more unsettling question arises. Who did it? Because ordinary human authors couldn't possibly have known. One theory, of course, is divine authorship. That God, outside of time, embedded messages across history and eternity, hiding prophecies within the very structure of sacred words. Another, more controversial theory, that advanced intelligence, not necessarily divine, but ancient, powerful, and beyond our current comprehension, designed these texts as time capsules. Clues left by an ancient lost civilization. Interdimensional beings. Something we might one day become ourselves. Still others propose a mind-bending idea that time isn't linear and the scribes who wrote the Bible were subconsciously influenced by echoes from the future. The messages weren't inserted deliberately, they seeped into history through the cracks of reality itself. Each possibility leads to a chilling thought: we are not alone in shaping history. Someone or something has left fingerprints buried beneath the surface of time. And maybe we were never meant to find them. At least, not yet. If the codes are real, can we decode what's coming next? Once the Bible code gained worldwide attention, many asked the obvious question: can we use it to predict the future? To prevent disasters? To prepare for what's to come? Researchers tried. They searched the texts for future dates, keywords, ominous phrases. Some claimed to find warnings of nuclear conflicts, plagues yet to come, economic collapses, names tied to future leaders and tragedies. But there's a problem: the Bible code isn't clear. It doesn't write out prophecies in sentences. It leaves fragments, connections, puzzles. Events only make sense after they happen. The past seems inevitable. The future remains elusive, like a giant crossword puzzle where the clues are scattered and the solution becomes obvious only too late. And there's something even more chilling: if you can find multiple possibilities hidden in the text, then which future is real? Maybe the codes don't predict. Maybe they map possibilities, timelines, choices, outcomes that are not yet fixed. What if the future isn't written in stone, but in shifting sands, glimpsed only for those who know where to look? Is the Bible code just coincidence, or a message we were never meant to decode? Maybe it's all chance. Maybe when you stare long enough at ancient words, you see patterns that were never there. Maybe, or maybe, beneath the familiar stories, beneath the prayers and parables, beneath the surface we think we understand, someone or something left a trail. A map, a warning, a message buried in symbols, letters, intervals, waiting for those with the right questions, waiting for those who dare to look deeper. Because in the end, it's not about proving the Bible code right or wrong. It's about understanding what the search itself reveals: our hunger for meaning, our terror of randomness, our hope that the universe somehow makes sense. Maybe the greatest message hidden in the Bible isn't a prediction of catastrophe. Maybe it's a reminder that knowledge is never handed freely. It must be earned. It must be sought. It must be found, hidden between the lines of history itself.